Well, over 150,000 people have been killed so far. Take a break. Well, over 150,000 people across the country of Sudan have been killed, and the army's last stronghold, Darfur, was also recently captured by the RSF, where reports of mass killings, sexual violence, looting and kidnappings have now become prevalent. The conflict erupted in April 2023 following a fierce power struggle between Sudan's military leadership and the paramilitary Rapid Support Force. The RSF has recently captured the city, which was the military's last stronghold in Darfur, after surrounding it for 18 months and blocking the delivery of food and other essential supplies to thousands of people. Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Dive, brought to you by NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Well, a 36-year-old Indian national has been abducted by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in Sudan's Al-Fashir, about 1,000 kilometers from the capital city Khartoum. This comes as the civil war continues to disrupt the country in a crisis that has led to the world's largest humanitarian disaster. Adarsh Behera hails from Odisha's Jagatsinghpur district, a quiet coastal region where many young men seek work abroad to support their families. Like thousands of others, Adarsh left home 3 years ago with hopes in his eyes and responsibility on his shoulders. He made Sudan his new home, a place that would soon be caught in the middle of one of Africa's most violent conflicts. For the past 3 years, Adarsh had been employed at the Sukarati plastic factory. Even as war clouds gathered over Sudan and the situation worsened, he refused to leave. The family said he stayed back because his entire family depended on him. His earnings, his presence, his courage. It was a choice driven not by comfort but by duty, a father and husband doing what he must do to keep life going back home in Odisha. Well, he lived in the Darfur region, one of the worst affected areas in Sudan's conflict. Day after day, Adarsh continued his work as a machine operator, navigating not only the daily grind, but also the rising insecurity, food shortages, and the threat of violence that had become a part of everyday life in Darfur. Yet, even under such conditions, he kept in touch with his family, promising them that things would soon get better. Adarsh is married to Susmita Behera. Together, they have 2 young sons, one 8-year-old and the other just 3. Both children have spent the past few days asking for their father, unaware of the full extent of what's happening thousands of miles away. For Susmita, each passing hour feels longer than the last, waiting for a call, a message, or any confirmation about his safety. Well, his family has now reached out to the Odisha government for help, pleading for urgent intervention. The Sudanese envoy, meanwhile, is in touch with India's Ministry of External Affairs, coordinating efforts to ensure his safe return. Officials have assured that every possible step is being taken, but on the ground, the situation remains tense and uncertain. A video shared by the outlet showed Behera seated between 2 RSF soldiers, with one of them asking him, "Do you know Shah Rukh Khan?" A chilling reminder of how unpredictable the situation in war-torn nation has become. Let's take a look at the video in question. Well, the Sudanese ambassador to India, Mohammed Abdullah Ali Al Tom, has assured that his government is making every possible effort to ensure the safe return of Adarsh, the Indian national who has been abducted by the Rapid Support Forces or RSF. Speaking to the media, Ambassador Al Tom said that while the Sudanese government has seen the reports of the alleged abduction, they're not yet in a position to officially confirm that. He added that the government is praying for Behera's safety, acknowledging that the RSF's reputation for committing serious atrocities. The ambassador expressed hope that the group will keep Behera safe and unharmed. He also emphasized that Sudan is ready to cooperate fully with Indian authorities and play any role necessary to bring Behera home safely, saying his government will do everything within its power to ensure his safe return. The wife of Adarsh has also made a statement asking for help from the government in releasing her husband. She stated that all his documents and personal possessions have been taken and are not with him anymore. She states that he sends voice messages stating that he doesn't get anything to eat or drink and he's miserable. So she's pleading the Odisha government through this video to help her and her family by assisting them to release her husband and bring him back to her as soon as they can. Let's listen and see what else she stated in her request.
तो मेरे हस्बैंड अफ्रीका में काम करने के लिए गया था, उधर काम कर रहा था। 3 बरस हो गया था, आया नहीं था। तो अब 8-10 दिन हो गया है, इसको जो कोई किडनैप उधर कर लिया है और इसका मोबाइल, इसका जो डॉक्यूमेंट सब रहती है, कुछ भी इसके पास नहीं है, सब इसके पास ले गया है। और इसका जो सेट रहती है वो लोग पकड़ लिया है। इसलिए वो जो जैसा वॉइस मैसेज कभी भेजती है तो कभी बोलती है कि मुझे मारती है, डांटती है और खाने के लिए भी कुछ देती है नहीं। इतना ही, इसलिए मैं गवर्नमेंट को इतना ही, मेरे उड़ीसा गवर्नमेंट को इतना ही रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ कि कैसा भी करके मेरा हस्बैंड को जितना जल्दी होगा तो इतना जल्दी जैसा ले आएगी। और इतना ही रिक्वेस्ट करती हूँ मोदी सरकार को और मोहन मांझी को, कैसा भी करके मेरा हस्बैंड को जितना जल्दी होगा तो मेरे पास ले आने के लिए। क्यों ना, मेरा 2 बच्चा है छोटा छोटा और कुछ भी करने के लिए भी नहीं है, इसने जितना जल्दी होगा तो ले आने।
All right, as Adarsh's family continues their desperate wait, his story stands as a reminder of the countless civilians, both Sudanese and foreign, caught in the crossfire of a war that shows no sign of slowing down. While diplomatic efforts are underway between New Delhi and Khartoum, the uncertainty remains heavy. For one family in Odisha, every moment without news feels like a lifetime. Well, let's talk about this and what can a country like India do at this point in time with somebody who understands such delicate and sensitive situations. Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goel, former diplomat, with us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Ambassador Goel, I have no specific question because this is a very fluid situation at this point in time. What I would like to do here is perhaps pick your brain on what governments actually do when something like this is at stake. And one thing that I read out just now is that the Sudanese government has not even given any confirmation whether this person is missing, he is abducted, or is there a search for him. How does one operate the diplomatic echelons, for the lack of a better word, in a situation like this, sir?
Good evening, Vineet. What you have described, in fact, I must confess that your channel was the first one to bring this story to my notice. And it's, to say the least, it's heart-rending, really. When the families are separated in this manner and the only bread earner in the family becomes hostage, becomes fodder to the ongoing civil war and the conflicts in the country, it's really full of distress and very sad. Now, coming to the issue of what can one do under the circumstances, what I can assure you first is that the Indian embassies and the Ministry of External Affairs in New Delhi, Indian embassy wherever the case has taken place, they take these things very seriously, because every person who is taken hostage in this manner is an Indian citizen, Indian national, asset to India. They have been working there, and in a sense, even though we cannot guarantee future, but their welfare, their security becomes very close to our aim. Every embassy does pay a special attention to the Indian nationals living in that country, and that's a reason. One common advice which every Indian embassy will give, it's not published or it's not in the newspaper, but there is a network of the Indian citizens there, Indian nationals, and the people of Indian origin living there, and they will invariably ask you when you reach there, oh, have you contacted the Indian embassy or the Indian consulate? If you have not, please do go over there, go to the consulate section and register your name. Because that becomes a way for the Indian embassy to keep in touch with them, and also that ensures that that Indian national at any given time, when there is a need, he does get the attention of the Indian embassy as soon as possible. Mostly my experience is that somebody will contact them within a day or two. If not the same day, within a day or two, he will be contacted to see what actually is happening and what is the issue there. That is number one. And as you must have read about from the various cases in countries which are adverse to us, which are actually enemy states, and there are countries which are friendly, but things happen. You have read all about them. We try and make every possible effort, irrespective of the legality. We make every possible effort that that person gets all possible help from the Indian embassy under the circumstances. If it is a legal help, a consul is engaged for him to fight the case out. If it is intervention with the government, the embassy does it. If it is something else, we do it. But the problem really is in the case like what happened in Somalia earlier and what is now happening in Sudan, or what happened in Yemen earlier, when there are these cases of uncertainty, unsettled civil conflicts taking place in the country. Our one advice to all Indian nationals, or it happened recently in Ukraine, to leave the country and get back to safety. Because nobody can guarantee security under the circumstances. Now, RPF, they may have asked him as to whether they know Shah Rukh Khan, but somebody comes tomorrow who may have no mercy at all on them. And there is very little under the circumstances that the embassy or anybody can else do. Even the Sudanese government, let us see what they can do.
Absolutely.
They don't have any control over RPF. So our one advice is to get away from there. Unfortunately, this gentleman, because of his own personal circumstances, chose to stay there. But what I can assure you is that even under the circumstances, the embassy, if they have any network with the RPF, if they have any network with the people who know them, they will make every effort. They will make every effort to ensure that he is brought to safety. I hope they succeed, but that's all I can say really under the
Fair
circumstances.
enough, sir. Appreciate
Yes.
you taking out the time and speaking to us, sir. Thank you for those perspectives. We take a short break on that note. Be right back.